Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Well, it seems that Ripple's goal for rolling out RippleNet on a global scale is perhaps a bit more ambitious than most of us would have guessed. Probably a bit more ambitious than I would have guessed. Here's a headline from xrparcade.com. Ripple to complete global coverage by mid-2021 and plug MoneyGram's cash payout to RippleNet this year. And so there are a number of details within this article I'm going to share with you. And we don't have complete clarity on exactly what the rollout's going to look like. So it's not that we have details about everything, but there are certain things cited in here that somewhat surprised me. So I'll be sharing those with you. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. Please know that from the bottom of my very large heart, which is not large for a medical reason, I'm very appreciative. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and I don't know how the hell it works, but it's good stuff. And also consider subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel if you've not done so. This is indeed the Moon Lamboist channel on all of the YouTube, so if you're holding out to see if there is another channel on the YouTubes that's more Moon Lambo-y, you will be disappointed. You might as well just stop here and subscribe. Shout out to Leonidas, XRP community member, who runs xrparcade.com, and he tagged me along with a number of other individuals within the XRP community. So thank you very much for doing so. I enjoyed this piece here. And extra kudos to you, because I came across this tweet in which you did not tag me shortly after you posted this article today. And you wrote the following, and I don't know where you're located in the world, but as I'm recording this, it's 8:10, I don't know, it's around 8 or so. But you wrote the following. I really need to stop doing my research late at night. Research done, article published, but no mood to sleep. It's 2 after midnight, and it feels like noon. Well, I'll tell you what, I can feel the pain, especially with all of the pandemic nonsense going around. Just being essentially quarantined, every day felt like the same damn day. It was kind of like Groundhog Day, except for not funny because Bill Murray wasn't there. But it's just all the days blur together. So, digging into this now. Since its inception, Ripple has been laser focused on revolutionizing global payments, with old legacy payment rails proving error-prone, slow, and expensive. Ripple has set out to change the world of payments. Ripple has grown aggressively the past few years, with 9 offices across the world, 450 plus employees, 350 customers using its products in more than 45 countries across the world. Now, given the nature of what he's writing about here, and the fact that he cited that currently, its customers are in 45 countries, I thought to myself, how many countries are there on the planet? And I hadn't looked that up, and I couldn't even tell you. Like a decade? I don't know. It's been forever since I looked up the number. But I seem to think that it was somewhere around 230 for some reason last time I looked this up. And so I went ahead and Googled it here. And funny enough, actually, it's not surprising in hindsight, but it's not that clear-cut of an answer. How many countries are in the world? This website says 196. And cites that 193 member states and 2 observer states are in the United Nations. But, check this out, as far as the United States is concerned, only 195 countries are recognized. But if you scroll a little bit further, so that's the United States, but it gets a little more complex here. The answer to the seemingly simple geographic question of how many countries are there is that it depends on who's doing the counting. The United Nations, for example, recognizes 251 countries and territory. So, according to the United Nations, 251, according to the United States, 195, and according to this website, 196. So pick your number, but the point is, with Ripple only having customers in 45, it seems that there would still yet be a lot to do. So no matter how you count it, it's going to be 20 to 25% best case scenario, where there's at least one customer in a country. And we know that there are tens of thousands of corridors for payments the world over. So, a lot to get to, which is also why that fact, in conjunction with the title, and we're about to get to the specific in just a moment, that was interesting to me. Now, there's a fireside chat with Marcus Treacher. It's a Ripple employee. In a fireside chat on FS Club with ZY Zyen chairman Michael Manelli, Marcus Treacher, Ripple's SVP of Customer Success, which is a silly, kind of a silly title, but it's fine. I'm for it. Revealed some of Ripple's future plans. The chat took place on June 11th, 2020, so just roughly several days ago. When asked if there are any plans for Ripple to expand into China, and if so, what are the issues, Mr. Treacher mentioned that Ripple is very keen to expand to China. And this topic was fascinating to me because it's not really discussed by anybody that works at Ripple frequently. I couldn't remember the last time that any Ripple employee was asked this or brought it up on their own. If ever. I'm sitting here thinking over the last 2.5 years that I've been in the space, and I can't think of anything. Now, in order for that to happen, the geopolitical situation needs to soften, but Ripple is very much prepared to move in. Ripple's SVP explained that Ripple does transact with some Chinese nodes right now. He hopes we should see a lot more of that as things become a bit more open. Yes, reasonable. Assuming that reasonable regulation ultimately takes hold, of course, it makes sense that China would certainly be a part of RippleNet in a meaningful way. Now, as far as the type of customers Ripple has right now, Mr. Treacher mentioned that about half of the customers that Ripple works with and has on the network are payment companies and exchanges, and the other half are banks. It is also interesting that banks tend to be receivers, while payment companies are much more likely to be on the send side. And I was thinking through what could be the rationale for that, because it's not cited within this article and a reason wasn't given. I don't know if it has perhaps something to do with the holdings of those types of entities in general. I'm not really sure, but it would be cool if we could get an answer from Mr. Treacher or anybody as to why that might be. But Marcus Treacher, when asked if users can make payments anywhere in the world with Ripple's technology, said, quote, and this is the most interesting part of this whole thing in my opinion, so check this out. And here's, again, direct quote from him. Our network is only as big as the customers that we connected to and clear through. So right now we clear directly in 45 countries. Through a number of RippleNet members like Neum, for example, with a head office in Singapore, who are aggregators like Earthport, for example, we can touch many, many other countries. The way we're heading, and this is the money sentence here, check this out, the way we're heading, I would think by mid-2021 we'll have, to intensive purposes, complete global coverage. Now that is something right there, and I'm going to finish the quote in just a second. He says a little bit more, but it's all kind of like subjective, because you talk about complete global coverage. I guess we're all going to conjure up different ideas in our head of what is it that would be defined sufficiently as complete global coverage, and I don't know what he's thinking, but surely it has to be much more substantial than the coverage today, and you're only talking about roughly 12 months out from now as I record this. And that's why I thought when I read that, I was like, wow, now that sounds ambitious, even though I don't know precisely what he means by complete global coverage. Does that mean that there are going to be customers in every single country? If so, is it in order to be considered complete global coverage, do you need to have a number in the country to cover? It's just what are the metrics that you're tracking? That's what I would like to know, and he doesn't specifically cite that. But regardless, it's got to be a lot, right? It's a lot more, and at the current pace that they're growing, I mean, gosh, even if they're landing, 2 or 3 new customers a week. That's hopefully they're sufficiently diverse, otherwise you're not going to have complete coverage in the world over. Not in all the corridors, because there are tons of different corridors out there which that currently RippleNet doesn't touch, because again it's a newer thing which is evolving, and of course we'll ultimately get there. I have full confidence in that, but not yet. So lots of work to be done. The rest of his quote reads as follows: "We do have a great pipe into MoneyGram, which we have a relationship with, which gives us a cash payout in virtually every country in the world, and we're looking to build that up and plug that into RippleNet network this year. I think stating Ripple Net Network sounds a little redundant, but hey, that's fine. Now, on Ripple's new lending product, Mr. Treacher clarified that Ripple is looking to do beyond just the straight payment. Ripple looks to facilitate lending or some degree of lending for XRP. He continued to explain that in the problem Ripple is solving, there is a lack of immediate liquidity for payment companies. While banks are animals of liquidity, if you are a payment company, you are constrained massively by liquidity. Most payment companies do their Series B, Series C funding, and they get the money. But the first thing they do is put it in the account overseas to fund their payments in case they can't free up their capital. Ripple feels that use of XRP, that model, could be very powerful. Right now, Ripple is just working it through. And so, ultimately, all this was really interesting between that last bit there, talking about in terms of the way that financial institutions and banks are performing, the part about MoneyGram, and that was fascinating as well. The piece about China and Ripple getting into China, all interesting, but still my favorite part is the 1 year from now, roughly, being just having a truly complete global coverage. That was the quote, complete global coverage here. And of course, that's going to be primarily with RippleNet, no doubt, but as additional corridors become active, expect XRP to be used in an increasingly meaningful way. That would be my educated guess there, which I think is going to be fantastic long-term for the price of XRP as we continue to see the maturation of this crypto asset class, and people, and especially when institutions come in, I think you'll see an expedited process of this, and people and institutions continue to value actual real-world utility in a way that's much greater than it's being valued today. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!